When you think of North Carolina, what comes to mind? Maybe it's the winding country roads, maybe it's NASCAR, maybe it's the Appalachian Mountains, or the bustling streets of Charlotte, one of the fastest growing cities in America. But what you don't think about, at least not yet, is North Carolina as the backbone of America's digital economy. AI, blockchain, energy, data centers. That's the future. That story is just beginning. Our journey began in Washington, D.C., amid one of the longest votes in American history. There, the nation debated the future of the digital assets, the Genius Act, the Clarity Act, the Anti-CBDC Act. And yet, what most don't realize is that North Carolina has already been living this future. Crypto Week, blockchain adoption, policy innovation, what D.C. is still debating, North Carolina is already building. As we made our way through the different playmakers of North Carolina, they shared many consistent themes that helped us understand what would cement the Tar Heel state as a leader in the digital economy. Four of the most consistent topics were AI dominance, business, cryptocurrency, and energy. And while it became clear that North Carolina is primed for owning each of these spaces, it doesn't mean that there isn't still work to do, starting with artificial intelligence.
I want people to understand that AI dominance is literally the ballgame moving forward. It is the ballgame from the future of our market economy. It is also the ballgame for the future of our defense. And it is truly a dual use concept that spans both of those key strategic outcomes that we have as a country. And I think North Carolina is perfectly positioned to take advantage of the AI boom. One, because of our roadway infrastructure. Wherever we have our large highways, we also have our fiber lines.
I think we're going to have enormous talent. I think the AI revolution is going to come right through North Carolina.
Because this is an industry that we need to allow to flourish. And if we are creating an environment where we're trying to push innovation into China, into whoever, but not here, that's a problem. I want us to lead on this.
But to lead on this, we're going to have to align ourselves as energy forward. North Carolina needs to be willing to use all of its current resources and push the idea of growing them in an effort to support this initiative even further.
I'm going to tell you, the big challenge that we and so many other states have right now is producing enough power to power these facilities, whether it's for data centers, whether it's the AI, you name it.
I don't think it's any secret that the long-term goal is nuclear facilities. And right now we have some issues in terms of whether those are cost-effective to build. Now, on the flip side of that, is it one of those situations where if we build the nuclear facility, we go ahead and take the risk that we then create that infrastructure and we experience significant economic growth as a result of having that energy in place? It's a conversation that we need to have.
Energy is going to be more important than ever.
Right.
We have a lot of off-grid tech energy available in our state. We have a very, very, very favorable climate for data centers already, and that was through some very good legislation that was passed years ago. Already, Meta, Facebook, Google, they have enormous data centers already in operation in the western part of the state. This can easily translate into high-performance compute centers to solve that thirst of energy that AI will require, as well as Bitcoin mining. So that's one big plus. I think getting that and encouraging and fostering that kind of economic development will put our state strong in line.
A lot of people choosing to make North Carolina home. The advantage of having a headquarters and a C-suite for Duke Energy in your state, it's like, they can test things here, they can try things here.
I think we have to be more proactive.
And no one knows how to be more proactive than the team at HMN Tech. While most people think the world of crypto and digital assets is all computers and magical numbers being punched in the back end, we went straight to the source to find out what really happens behind the scenes. And the results may surprise you.
When Mark Robinson was here, he's like, man, I thought you guys were going to sit me in front of the computer. I was going to see lines of code. You're like, this is Bitcoin. But now I can see it and touch it, and I understand it better. I know what it is. And then, everybody that comes is like, I didn't realize that there were this many people that were needed. Like all the jobs that were created, like this is what it is. This is the underpinning of Bitcoin. And then we ultimately wind up in the conference room and we're talking about what we need to grow and what it would look like. And the conversation always zeroes back in on deregulation of the energy market. And it's like, oh yeah, well, maybe we'll work on that.
You see, Bitcoin mining requires power, a lot of it. And so that means HM Tech, the largest Bitcoin mining repair facility in North America, requires a lot of it too. But it seems they've had a roadblock or two while trying to get access to that power.
The Duke, and it got approved. They called me back like 30 days later, like, oh yeah, we made a mistake. You can't have 5 megawatts. We're only going to give you 2.5. We'd already started construction.
Right.
And so about 30 days after that, we couldn't really argue. We just fine, whatever. Another 30 days go by. Duke calls us up and says, oh, we were way wrong. You can't have any extra power. And of course, at that point, we're like, well, we're going to have to see you in court. Like we can't. Right. We've got the signed documents. We have to have it. And then they went back, kind of hummed and hawed internally, came back like, yeah, we'll give you 2.5, but that's all you can get. So all this.
2.5 megawatts.
Yeah, waiting on Duke to give us more power, right. Yep.
You mentioned something really quickly. I'd love for you to explain, what do you mean by Duke having a monopoly?
So North Carolina is a fully regulated state from an electrical standpoint. For those of us that are old enough, we remember when telephones were regulated, right? And that went through a deregulation process where it allowed competition. So the owner of the infrastructure wasn't the only one that could use it. It happened with telephone, cell phone, internet, all that, all telecommunications all got deregulated. In give or take a little more than half the states are still partially regulated. Then there's a handful of states that are fully deregulated, like Texas. North Carolina happens to be a fully regulated state, which means Duke Energy owns all the infrastructure, and they are the only ones who can sell power on that infrastructure. So if you want electricity in North Carolina, you're buying it from Duke. Now, even if you live in a small town or a subsidiary and you have a co-op, the co-op buys all their electricity from Duke. We need competition in the electricity market in North Carolina. Right now, we're not going to attract big miners. However, if you look at our neighbors, Tennessee, Georgia, South Carolina, all attract Bitcoin miners in droves because they're deregulated and they can negotiate power prices. And the operators there understand the benefits to the grid.
Despite these challenges, North Carolina ranks as the #1 state for business. It's become a magnet for the world's biggest tech players. Meta, Apple, Amazon. They're not just investing here. They're choosing North Carolina as the place to shape the future. And behind it all, policymakers are working to ensure this remains the best state to build.
Certainly, we have a layered approach in North Carolina where we work very collaboratively with our state government to make sure that we are setting the conditions for North Carolina to be a pro-growth, pro-business environment.
Why do you think big businesses are being attracted to North Carolina, especially the digital economy businesses?
Because we have a very low tax environment. When you combine that with the overall very positive quality of life that we get to enjoy in North Carolina, as well as when compared to the rest of the country, although this has changed some since COVID, the cost of living is also substantially lower than it is in a San Francisco or a New York. Those businesses know they can come in and be successful. They can hire employees that are going to be happy. They are going to be able to attract that labor to come and bring it into the state if they actually need to. For all of those reasons, it's really a no-brainer to move to North Carolina.
We have a fantastic legislature. Our state treasurer, Brad Briner, is very supportive of this.
Well, we're doing a great job. So the other piece of it, which was great from a public policy perspective here, is that it doesn't necessarily only exist in the urban areas of North Carolina. You're in many more ex-urban and rural areas where economic development is paramount. And so not only do you have real development of business, you have real economic development of areas that have needed it for a long time.
It's workforce and infrastructure, which is it kind of seems like when you really zoom everything out, that's the solution to many of our problems, is just invest in workforce, invest in infrastructure.
We've got to get more proactive in what we do in order to maintain that level of being a great place to live, work, and raise a family.
So I think that the more light that we can shine on it to say, hey, we need to move today. We don't need to put it in committee. We don't need to talk about it and discuss it. We need to take action. And all that's going to do is bring jobs to our state, economic prosperity, and a more stable, more balanced grid.
It is a team effort across a lot of different metrics.
It's about making sure that you're poised to capitalize on the opportunity.
It seems as though if the little guys can get along with the big guys, it will open up the full potential of what North Carolina dominance looks like. More Bitcoin mining, more education for our youth, and improving upon the already bolstering business opportunities coming our way. I'm Alejandro Navia. Thank you for joining us on this journey. If you're watching this, just know that you're still early to the economic transition of the digital economy. So roll up your sleeves, learn a new skill set, and play your part. And remember, stay in the flow.